So Cape Town Safety and Security MMC JP Smith joins us for more on rising cases of violent crime, especially on the Cape Flats. MMC, good evening to you and thank you for your time. I think just to start off with, before we even get into the situation in Philippi and how it's being dealt with, but an update that you are receiving from police, if anything new has come up with regards to the investigations. And certainly we know that one of the suspects is still on the run. Any updates where that's concerned?
No, ma'am, sadly not. We have resources out looking for that individual. We are supporting SAPS on this matter. And right from the beginning, because of the unique circumstances, firstly, that the victims contacted the city immediately and lodged a call with our call center. That means that we were aware. Very often, we would not even know such incidents happened. Remember, SAPS do not share crime data with us. And then secondly, the fact that Ian Cameron had wounded the one person allowed us then to immediately go and look at the search at the hospitals, which led us to the CCTV footage, which led us to the driver, which led us to the other two suspects, one of which appeared this morning. So that set of circumstances allowed the city to work very closely with SAPS, our Safety and Security Investigations Unit, for which we are grateful that we had that opportunity to bring these particular individuals to book. And hopefully there will be a meaningful conviction, because I can imagine there have been many, many other victims of their crime in that vicinity. And had they been prosecuted previously or for an earlier attack, which they are likely to have committed, these particular colleagues of mine would not have been victims. And if we prosecute them now, many future victims may be spared this.
And just quickly, I think there's been so much alarm and shock over the ages of these suspects, right? 16, 18. Do we know the age of the third suspect that is on the run?
No, ma'am, I was not briefed on that. Other than this fact that this particular one was a minor, and to see that level of incredible violence as was reported, because a witness who was in the vehicle directly behind contacted me and sent me a voice note, which I shared with the victims of what she saw, and it is her own frightening recollection is scary enough.
Yeah, and this is the challenge. I mean, just this week we spoke to an NPO that is working with young people in Philippi, and I'm keen to hear just the sort of efforts that are in place to improve security in Philippi. We know that it is a high-density area, but talk to me about just how bad the crime levels are, what needs to be done to turn it around, the challenges that you are having in also being able to get it under control.
Well, most immediately, I can tell you that Philippi is one of the red zones where it is now almost impossible to render any kind of municipal services unless there's an escort. So if your roads department, electricity department also have to render service there, it needs a police escort. And keep in mind that gang violence drives much of the city's stats, murder rate. Take the gang violence out of our city, and our murder rate drops to well below the rest of the country. But fortunately, 11 stations out of the 63 stations in the city contribute 69.5% of that murder rate. And so you have a very serious challenge in these hotspots. And I keep on reminding people who complain about crime that nobody is more affected than the people in these priority stations. That's why, together with the provincial government, we deployed 1,300 officers to these priority stations. In 10 September, we're deploying another 700 officers across the city to every ward. So we are, from local government side, trying to make up the numbers that SAPS is lacking in an attempt to mitigate the challenges these communities face. On firearm possession, for instance, we've made good impact there in the last, 3+ years. We've now taken just under 2,000 guns off the street. But when you get to the conviction rate, we fall flat, because there we start becoming dependent on criminal justice systems that are very frail at the moment and not getting results. So you see a 4.6% conviction rate, which becomes enormously challenging. There needs to be an equal measure of a significant investment in social programs. And so I see my colleagues in different departments making investments in entrepreneurship, in job development and employment creation. Continuously, quarter on quarter, Cape Town generates, along with the Western Cape, either the most or amongst the most jobs in this country. So we are very significant contributing to employment. It is not in some of these areas helping to stabilize some of these factors.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid we're going to need to see a much more substantial investment from national government in policing to bring policing up, levels up.
So
to
let's
at least
yeah,
the
sorry, JP,
international standard.
I'm just trying to maximize the time here,
problem.
because also in council today you had this motion for the devolution of policing powers very much on the agenda. So the motion being passed by the mayoral committee, and it would seem that the city can now set in motion a formal process to seek the devolution. Talk to me about what that would look like, what it would mean.
So for many years, we've been talking, maybe since 2013, we've been hinting it to SAPS that we should see more powers. When we had the kidnapping for ransom cases here, we played a meaningful role to support SAPS in bringing those syndicates to book. And that's why you don't read about kidnapping for ransom cases in Cape Town at the moment. Grateful for the leadership of SAPS and that we could work with them on it. That, however, that partnership is not reflected in all other aspects. Every day now, we give them at least 200 officers to do visible policing focused just on gang violence.
Yeah.
That's in addition to all the other work. But as I said with the firearms, if you get a 4.6% conviction rate, you're simply recycling those criminals. The same guys who shoot yesterday are back on the street today or in a few days to carry on shooting with a new firearm. So we must get the conviction rate up. And if you look at what trips up the conviction rate, it is a little bit of ballistics backlog, but mainly the complete overload on detectives. We're 35% detectives short in the Western Cape, according to the most recent stats I saw. And that means that detectives sit with huge caseloads. These cases collapse because they can't give them the attention they deserve. We're saying, let us help just on the firearm arrests that we make. Just let us investigate those and take them to the NPA for prosecution. Let's get that conviction rate up so we can get these shooters and murderers out of our communities. And that is what we have been pushing for. We signed an agreement with President Ramaphosa a year ago in Erica Park in Balahar. That agreement is still not concluded. Very frustrating. The mayor has written to the new minister and said, we urgently need to meet with you on this issue. And I think the time for talk is rapidly nearing an end. So we are now today in the council decision that was taken, moving towards formal intergovernmental dispute, followed by litigation to try and formally devolve that investigative and crime intelligence powers, whether national government wants to or not.
All right. Well, we'll be watching that closely to see the next steps that take place. But thank you so much for speaking to us. JP Smith is the mayoral committee member for safety and security in Cape Town.